Hey everyone, Kermode here, back with another video. Today I want to show you why I cut my kicks, or why specifically I cut the middle out of my kick. Now this doesn't always happen, but I noticed lately I've been doing it quite regularly, so I figured why not talk about it? Why not make a video? So first and foremost, I just want to say quite often I find kick samples are too long. The other day I was doing a little drum and bass sketch. I was just trying to get like a nice beat going. Drum and bass is a really good example of where when a kick is too long, it's going to take up too much of your song. So this is what the beat sounded like with a really short kick. Now what were to happen if I were to take the full version of this kick and have that play the pattern? Let's check that out. I mean, it sounds heavy in the context of just the beat. But the big problem of this is it's not going to make much room for sub or other sounds. Sidechain is going to just push everything out of the way for way too long. It's just, I mean, this isn't supposed to be an 808. It's supposed to be a little kick drum defining the groove. Now, quite often what people will do is they'll just, shorten the sample to taste, and they'll cut it like so. And depending on the sample, that can be quite effective, just shortening the sample itself. Now the reason sometimes I cut out the middles is sometimes when you have these super long kicks, the root note of the sound may not be defined until kind of the bitter end, and all this might be the pitch drop of the sine wave or the underlying tone. It might not define the final tone of the sound. And sometimes I find this kind of middle bit of a kick may not be necessary. So let me show you what I mean. We're going to have two different versions. We're going to have this version that's shortened here, and then let's make a version of the kick here that's shortened to the same length, but by also cutting out some of the middle. I'm going to say quite a bit of the punch is probably defined by this part here, and quite a bit of the tone is defined by this part here. So what cutting out the middle would be kind of getting rid of maybe some of the unnecessary bits here. So I'm going to try and catch this sample either at the bottom or the top of the cycle to make it easier to chop. Let's chop out quite a bit of it. Let's go to the bottom of the cycle, so right here. And then we're going to nudge things over, and we're going to zoom in with our microscope. We're going to get real tight. Because as you can see, it's already kind of started to go up here, and it was still going down for quite a while there. See how we're not lining up? There's a bit of a jump. We don't want that. We want things to line up gain-wise, one-to-one as much as we can. So I keep nudging this over and moving things until we can get a bit closer. Maybe we can get this going up a bit. Oh yeah. Right there, probably right there. And then you have these little dots, which I believe are frames. I could be wrong, but what we're going to do is we're going to try and get these dots to line up as best we can. Slide, boom, let's try that. That looks a lot better. So this way, we can keep things short, but we get a better representation of the tail and the initial punch. Here that one's a bit higher because you're still getting a lot more of the higher pitch of the kick instead of the lower final pitch. Now this one I might have chopped too early, but you kind of get the idea. Let's do it with another kick. This one might be a good example because it takes so long to kind of finally hit the final tone. And there's a lot of kind of middle that we don't necessarily need. Again, sometimes it might sound better the way it was, but sometimes we can shorten our kicks by cutting out part of the middle. So for example, let's maybe remove this cycle here all the way to this cycle here. Let's just try it, see what it sounds like. So this is our old version. And maybe we'll move it over here for comparison. Let's nudge this over. And let's try and line up the movement perfectly. That's actually quite good. We could probably nudge this frame over a hair so the dots lined up. See how just nice and tight that is? It's kind of, you get the punch, you get the tail, and there isn't the extra unnecessary meat. You could even have variants in a song, like that one's for really getting the mid-tones, and that one could be shorter when you want basses to quickly come in. So that's really it. That's all I wanted to show you. I just wanted to consider, if you're shortening your kicks, maybe it's not always about cutting the tails, maybe it's actually about cutting the middles, or a little bit of both. It's really situational, depends on the sample, but play around with the concept. Get really tight and specific when you're crossing over, and try and get the phases as nice and aligned as you can. And you never know, you might just make like this right tight, techy kick out of it. Thanks everyone, I'm Kermode. That's why I cut my kicks. See ya.